All right.
Welcome, everyone. Day 3 of free agency. It's 4 o'clock on the dot. That means legal tampering is officially closed, I guess. And free agency is officially open.
And we're already starting. Julio Jones is getting released by the Titans.
There you go. This is the first news of the day. It took 1 minute over there.
4 o'clock. If you guys are joining live, that's
what's falling down. Oh, boy. That's not a good start to the stream.
To our YouTube, and we are answering all your questions live on our YouTube. So come on in if you guys haven't checked us out on YouTube already. Our name on YouTube is the same, Catch the Blitz, and we are live. So come on in.
Yeah, come on and welcome in, guys. It's 4 o'clock, which means, I believe it means the new league year is officially begun.
Yes.
And there you go. Julio Jones already released.
Julio Jones. And Watson news is coming as soon as tonight. So all trades, all signings are now official.
Unless maybe Randy Gregory wants to go back to the Cowboys.
No, the Broncos just tweeted it right now.
Okay, so there you go. All signings are now official. Julio Jones released. Watson news coming soon. That's a pretty... Plus our phone just fell right off. That's a pretty good start to the live stream today. Yeah. We had a busy day 1 if you tuned in. We had a busy day 2. Today was a little bit uneventful in my eyes for the first little bit, but it's picking up now, it looks like. What's going on? We got a couple people in the chat joining in now. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, drop them in, and we'd love to discuss. Kat, what's going on? How's your day been so far?
I'm doing good. It was a little slow this morning. It started off quite slow compared to other days, but, I mean, we're back. We're in full-fledged. I love how now... all of a sudden, all the deals could just magically go through.
Just like that. It could happen any second. We already got one question from Flippin' Gymnast in the chat, and he's asking for a Desean Watson update. I believe we were on live yesterday when the Falcons came out as the quote-unquote sleeper team.
Yes.
I don't know. Personally, where do you see Desean ending up at this moment? Like, where do you think he's going to go? Because you've been all Panthers all along, right?
I still think it's going to be the Panthers, but... I don't know now. Like, I'm sort of getting a little confused with this whole Brown stuff, but I don't know if the Brown. What it comes down to is I don't think a team has more to offer than the Panthers.
Yeah, and that's where I'm really confused, honestly, because it sounds like for these teams to meet with Desean means that Houston has okayed the trade packages for him. Now, in my eyes, like that means Houston will just send him to any of these 4 teams. But don't they have a preferred package out of those 4? Like, let's say the Panthers are offering, Brian Burns and a ton of first-round picks, and the Saints are only offering draft picks. Like, wouldn't you rather have the Panthers package? Like, to me, the Houston front office for sure has at least one package that they would hope that Desean, let's say, says, no, I want to go to... yeah, exactly.
Yes. Of course, but that's the problem with the no-trade clause is that you could the player ultimately... picks where they get to go, right? So I mean, look, I'm sure if Watson wants to play, and let's say he wants to go home to Atlanta, then Atlanta's offer could technically be on paper worse than, let's say, the Panthers' offer, but the team doesn't really have a choice.
They don't have a choice, and that's been the sort of the theme all along in this Watson saga, that Houston's hands are tied. They don't have the leverage in this situation because Deshaun's flat out saying, I'm not playing for you guys anymore. Not. And that's what makes it really tough. Personally, I know we got a couple questions. Jake's in here. Jake, what's going on? He's asking, where do you all think Desean Watson is going? I do... As it drags on further, I'm starting to... The Atlanta narrative is starting to win me over. He's from Georgia. We found that out yesterday on from the chat.
Thanks to the chat.
Thanks to the chat. I had a feeling...
Instagram, come on into our YouTube. Come have some fun. Ask us some questions.
But yeah, I'm starting to think that he's going to be an Atlanta Falcon, although the Saints... I mean, to me, the Panthers, I've always seen them as the front runner. And now the Saints and the Falcons have almost overtaken them, at least in my mind.
Yes.
Cleveland, I just don't see it. I don't see him saying, I want to go play in Cleveland. And I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It seems super far-fetched. I feel like we'll talk a little bit about Baker Mayfield later on in the stream today. But if you're just joining us, welcome. If you're on Instagram, make sure to hop into our YouTube. If you have any questions, we'll answer them on there. We got a new one, and it's asking about the Jets. Did we get better? Can we make the playoffs? And what are your projections for the draft going to be? He's also asking about any room to sign Miles Jack or Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones actually just signed with the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe 3 years, about $50-something million.
Yes.
So that was some big news
3
today.
years, 3 years.
But in terms of the Jets, we've actually spent quite a good time on both yesterday's stream and Monday's talking about the Jets because I think they're one of the quote-unquote winners of free agency. I really like where they're headed with their organization, and I think we're starting to see a roster unlike what they did in the Sam Darnold regime.
Absolutely.
They're giving Zach Wilson an opportunity to succeed. I love their O-line. I think they got some nice weapons at running back and receiver. You asked me about the draft. I think Drake London would be a great pick to add to your Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios and Corey Davis. But I like where the Jets are going, at least offensively right now. And they made some pretty cool signings on defense. They got 100%. DJ Reed and what's the safety's name that they grabbed as well? I'm blanking on it right now. No, that was the Ravens that grabbed Marcus Williams. Was it Jordan Whitehead from the Bucks that went over to the Jets? The Saints.
Jets.
Yeah,
maybe the Jets. Sorry, I was blanking out there. I thought we were talking about the Jets for a second.
All right, this new question comes in from Hey Brother, and he says, what do you guys think that the Seahawks need to do right now in order to have a successful rebuild?
Oh, they got a lot of things to do, to be honest. Their team on paper, I think the best thing they got to do going forward is to just accumulate all those draft picks that they can, because on paper that roster is bad, and it was bad outside of the receiver room for that matter. Even when Russ was there, I know they kept some of their guys like Quandre Diggs, but I don't know. It's an interesting team because I feel like that rebuild's going to take a little longer than we're used to seeing. There could be years go by where it could be 4 or 5 years down the road where Seattle's still sort of, you know what I mean, a subpar team.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, in my opinion, what their school of thinking is sort of take a couple years, take a couple steps backwards while that NFC West is just so ridiculously loaded. And then maybe by the time you have some young players come in, hopefully you hit on your draft picks, which is something that Seattle has struggled with in recent years. Then you can bring that in, and maybe then when you're ready to compete, the rest of the division isn't as strong. But definitely interesting time to be with Seattle. I also read on Twitter that Baker Mayfield is that could be in the cards. Seattle could potentially acquire him. The Baker Mayfield situation is just crazy. Michael Johnson's asking Bobby Wagner to the Ravens. Can you see that? I haven't seen anything about Bobby Wagner to the Ravens. I don't know if you have.
Bobby Wagner, on the Bobby Wagner front, it's been pretty quiet. It's been, for someone that has a big name like Bobby Wagner, you expect some more news. But I feel like it's more just, if you look at the big contracts that have been given out to linebackers in the past in free agency, I feel like teams are trying to catch on. Maybe that's not a position that you're willing to fork up. And I know it's still Bobby Wagner at the end of the day, but he is on the wrong side of 30. He's getting old. He regressed a little bit last year. He's not the same player that he once was, but I still can see him be an impact signing for a team maybe in this third, fourth wave of free agency. I don't know how much he's willing to take. Maybe he's looking to be paid a certain amount, which is why his market is sort of slow, because teams are resorting to cheaper options or even in the draft, but I never know.
Yeah, the questions are flying in the chat, so to everyone tuning in, we appreciate it. It's great so far.
Like that video too. Let's get this.
Yeah,
thing,
drop a like if you're in here as well. That'd be great. Helps us out.
Like that up, and see, we just hit 1.5 K subs, so that's pretty good.
Jake Tomlinson's asking, how are we liking the Bucs free agency? Obviously, the Bucs free agency took a massive turn on Sunday night when Tom Brady just decided he would be back, and that obviously has a ripple effect. A ton of players want to stay. They restructured Shaq Barrett, a couple of other guys, and then Carlton Davis is back. So I don't know. I think the Bucs, obviously, when you have Tom Brady, it's a weak NFC, or at least I think it's going to be next year. You have to be very, very happy about the direction that they're going. I honestly don't think that there's a big signing in the cards for them. They're pretty loaded already.
I heard that the Bucs are trying to keep sort of their own. I read on Twitter today that Tom Brady has actually been actively recruiting some of the Bucs' own free agents. Immediately after deciding to come back, and I saw a cool story actually with the receiver that they signed from Atlanta now. Why am I blanking?
Russell Gage. Yeah.
So Russell Gage, Brady actually called Russell Gage prior to him agreeing to terms with the Bucs, and he was saying, "Oh, I'm a big fan of your game.
and I would love to have you as a big piece of our offense. And that actually swayed Russell Gage to sign with the Bucs. So that's pretty cool. Like being a younger receiver, getting a call from Tom Brady. I think that was a pretty cool story that I saw.
Yeah, we'll keep it going in the chat here. I think we got Stephen Curran here, and he's asking about Matt Ryan's cap hit, and that's something that I think was super, super intriguing in all these Deshaun Watson.
Is it lagging?
Deshaun Watson
they're
conversations.
saying it's a little laggy.
If it's a little laggy,
yeah, we had some problems the other day with the lag.
Okay,
just bear with it.
It
should get better. It should get better as the video goes on. But if you are dealing with some lag, we apologize for that. Just bear with us, and we'll fix that. We'll fix that lag. It should get better as the video goes on.
Well, I look at fixing that. Deshaun Watson to the Falcons. If that happens, how does that work out with Matt Ryan's cap hit? Because it's a $48 million cap hit. It was supposed to be restructured, but apparently they never actually set that in stone. So if a trade happens there, what are the Falcons going to do with Matt Ryan?
Well, look, let's pull up. I like to use over the cap for when it comes to cap space, just to see how you can maneuver money around. It's a pretty cool tool. I'm sure you guys are all aware of it. But if they were to flat out cut Matt Ryan as a post June 1st cut, it would be dead money of $27 million with cap savings of close to $9 million. So like the contract is it is. I don't want to use the term it's easy to get out of, because it's not, because that's a big chunk of dead money. But I'm saying if you were to, let's say, agree to a trade like with Deshaun Watson, maybe Watson lowers his cap hit for this year. They work out a restructured deal just to sort of get that Matt Ryan contract off the books. But when I look at Matt Ryan, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if, hypothetically speaking, if Deshaun Watson does go to Atlanta, I think the Colts are a perfect spot for Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I think
they got a lot of cap space too, so they can take on his contract.
Yeah,
and they can potentially get some picks for it too.
In the Matt Ryan. I don't know if or you mean the Colts could get some picks for taking on that contract. I think that's definitely that could really be possible. In terms of Matt Ryan, I don't quite think he's that top level quarterback he used to be. But in a situation like the Colts, let's be honest, one thing about him is his whole tenure with Atlanta, he's never ever had a strong defense. And that one year that he had a really strong roster, he took the team to the Super Bowl and he won the MVP. So I think that could help potentially rejuvenate and bring back something in Matt Ryan that we haven't seen in a couple of years.
Absolutely.
So that would be something that's really interested. We'll keep it on the theme of quarterbacks over here. Baker Mayfield released a statement last night. What did you make of that whole thing, and where is he going to be playing in 2022? Because from at least my takeaway with the whole thing is that even if the Browns don't acquire Deshaun Watson, which I don't think is going to happen, Baker Mayfield's still out that door. He was just so I don't know if offended is the right word, but the fact that they were poking their head in that door, he did not like that one bit, and he's looking to play elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. The Baker Mayfield situation is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. I think it could have been handled much, much better from the Cleveland Browns standpoint. And I gotta allude it to Baker, to be honest with you. The way that he's been handling all this it seems pretty professional in my opinion. Like, we're used to maybe Baker Mayfield being quote unquote, being at least deemed to the public as immature and not this quote unquote leader. Like, even the Browns, there's a report that just came out before we hopped on live saying that the Browns are looking for a grown up at quarterback. I think the way that Baker's been handling this whole situation he's handled it like a grown up.
You think so?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Absolutely. Look at that. Look, the way that he came out with that statement was so professional.
No.
Like, it was absolutely professional. Yes, it was.
Why is he bringing out that statement? What's the need to do that?
Because his team is snooping around looking for quarterbacks without him.
So Tua was in trade rumors around him for a whole year. Deshaun Watson. Every day, all you hear is Miami, Deshaun Watson. He never, ever once released a statement, nothing.
Yeah, but Tua
was
his
other
first
teams.
year in the league. It's way different.
That's even more offensive in my opinion, because Baker Mayfield
from going to the AFC Championship.
I guess, but how he played, I get it. He was hurt last year.
And there's no transparency in the organization at all. Diana Rossini came out today and said, look at Atlanta, for example. Atlanta is snooping around with Deshaun Watson, but they were communicating with Matt Ryan saying that this is a possibility. The Browns didn't do that.
So you think that was all behind Baker's back?
It was all behind Baker's back. It was. That's what it's saying. And the fact that Baker came out and said, look, it's true. Baker, I don't know how I see it. Baker went to Cleveland who people are forgetting, Cleveland was the worst organization in sports at the time that he got there.
Yeah.
The worst organization in sports. And he turned them around.
But I wouldn't say he completely... I get the quarterback's the leader of the franchise. He was a part in that, but you also have to look at the roster. Cleveland is regarded as a roster that is like... I'm not going to say quarterback away because I think Baker's a good enough quarterback to help them win, but he's the guy where it's just like they have a loaded set of, O-line is phenomenal. Your
receivers are terrible.
He had Odell Beckham
terrible.
Jr. and Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, but it's a run-first offense.
Okay, so then why? What's the need for wide receivers?
You don't need a wide receiver,
they
but
had
I'm saying
Austin
I think
Hooper.
the Browns roster is a little overrated.
Austin Hooper, who they paid a ton of money to in free agency. You had David Njoku, who's a first-round pick.
Bad. David Njoku's bad too.
You got Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. At the time, that was regarded as like he has all the tools. They haven't worked out. Why haven't they worked out? Maybe it's because of the quarterback.
I don't think it's I don't know. 2020, Baker Mayfield stats: 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. He was a quarter away from beating the Chiefs and going to the AFC Championship. A quarter away. A quarter. Last year, he hurts his shoulder, and the injury was deemed season-ending. After first week, there was reports that said Baker Mayfield could be out for the entire season. He battled through it, played, clearly was in immense pain, and he overcame all that and still tried to fight every single week. And the Browns treat him back and say, look, we're going to try and get off. Which I know that's your job. You're looking to make your team better, and your team would be way better with Deshaun Watson. But I think you could have at least communicated that with Baker and handled it classy, because I don't think there's anything this whole situation by the Cleveland front office and organization as a whole has been a disaster. They have not handled it like class at all. I think Baker has. I really do.
I think there's definitely fault on both parties. I'm not saying Cleveland's done a great job handling it, and I think Baker as well could have maybe taken it on the chin a little bit better. I don't know. I think Baker's a good quarterback. I think last year was an off year. He wasn't healthy. But in reality, like I just
you got to perform. Right?
Yeah, you do, and
right?
And I think that if all, like, to me, if they were transparent, which obviously it sounds like it wasn't, the statement's not really the right move. And even like if they don't acquire Deshaun Watson, why not stick around in Cleveland, prove yourself? You release a statement saying how you love the fans and everything, and then you want to leave still? Come on.
Yeah, but the fans, he's not leaving because of the fan base. The fan base still thinks Baker's. If you talk to 50% of the Cleveland fan base thinks Baker Mayfield is a god.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me.
And the other 50% hates him?
Trust me. Think about it. They went through years and years and years of without having a quarterback. They want Baker. They enjoy Baker. They think he's a good quarterback, which I think he's a good quarterback too. I think they're realistically, if you're putting Baker in a list, you're probably ranking him around 15 in my quarterback rankings. Mine, just top of my head. I don't know. Maybe it tinkers. Maybe it's a little higher. Maybe it's a little lower. But regardless, Cleveland, knowing all of this, they still went behind his back, and it's a respect thing. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Baker. I'm sure Baker, if you went up to him and said, "Look, we want to look at this whole Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. We want to just check in with him. Maybe if it makes sense, we'll bring him on, and then we'll do what's best for you." Instead of Baker finding out through social media and through all this stuff, I don't know. I just don't think it's the way to handle business in the NFL.
I think that's a given in sort of anything. I think it was Bobby Wagner that said he found out the Seahawks cut him or released him through social media, and that's even worse because he's been there for 8 years and he was the face of their franchise. But yeah, I don't know. I think right now where we're at, everyone's sort of waiting on Deshaun to make a move. Once Deshaun gets traded, we'll see what happens with everyone else. But yeah, it's Matt Ryan's in play, Baker Mayfield's in play, and then of course your other guys like Jameis and stuff like that are also in play.
Yeah,
just looking at the chat here, a couple of we're getting the streams frozen, so we apologize for the technical difficulties. We are trying to sort it out. But if you have questions, keep them coming in, and we'll definitely get that in here. This one comes in about, just what we were talking about, Tua and Baker. And the difference is that the owner was consistently defending him, saying he's our guy going forward. And they also fired the coach who didn't want him. That's true. I do agree with that because, Chris Grier, Stephen Ross have said Tua's the guy. But, Chris Grier also admitted to, looking into Deshaun Watson. They've also now said that, that door's closed. They're moving forward with Tua. And of course, Brian Flores, who butted heads with him, is gone. Where in the Cleveland situation, it is quite different. And if what you're saying is true, that the way he found out was the way all of us found out, I get why he's a little bit upset. And the state